The Most Improved Player Award is one of the most unique awards given out at the end of the NBA season. It gauges a player's ability to improve their game over the course of a season and over the past few years. It's primarily given out to guys that have been in the league for a decent amount of time, not really given out to second-year guys, and overall, it's really just there to award the players who make incredible strides in their game. And it sets those players apart from what they used to be. Players such as, a couple guys on this list, Zach LaVine, Jaylen Brown, they are great players. But I'm not comparing them to the other guys on this list as a player. I'm comparing the strides they've taken and if they deserve the Most Improved Player Award, not this player is better than this player and here's why. It might sound like that because I'm doing it in a little bit of a list format, but overall, I'm not comparing these guys at all. I think that they're all great at what they do, but there are some guys on this list that stand out as, all-stars, and there's guys on this team that might not deserve an all-star vote, but overall, they were incredible this year, and compared to the years before, they improved at an incredible rate. So, before we get too deep into all of that, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy. It helps us a ton, super easy to do. Big red button, just click it. And obviously, I'd love to hear your feedback and who maybe you think. There's a couple guys that I couldn't include on this, list just because don't have the time. I can't run through 10 players. But today I'm just going to be sitting down to talk about 5 of the guys that I believe should be in this discussion. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First up is Jerami Grant. He is a great small forward, power forward for the Detroit Pistons. He was on the Nuggets last season, and now he's on the Pistons, got himself a little bit of a contract, and I think the Pistons got him with a great deal. He isn't getting paid a ton for what he's doing, but, just look at the stats and you can see the improvement. Last year, he averaged 13 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, and a steal a game, plus a block. So, obviously, he's getting those forced turnovers, and he's doing a lot on the defensive side. But last year, his offense wasn't there. He was only playing 27 minutes a game compared to he's a top 5 player in minutes per game. He's playing 36, 37 minutes per game this season. But overall, he went from 12 points per game to 24 points per game. He doubled his statistical points per game. Plus, he's averaging 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and his shooting splits are great this season. Last season, he shot 48%, 39% from 3, and that was on 9 shots a game, so a lot smaller of a sample size. He's shooting 18 shots a game this year, 44% from the field, 38% from 3. Plus, he has been shooting really well from the line, 88% this year. Jerami has been great this season. His team hasn't. He's 8-21 with the Pistons, and he hasn't really missed any games. Jerami has been really, really good statistically, but overall, I don't know if he's going to be deserving of this just because his team is so bad. I think he's improved a lot statistically, but Jerami is a scorer, and when you go from being, the 3rd, 4th, 5th option on your team, like he was with the Nuggets, where he was still averaging 13, 14 points per game, to now averaging obviously 24 points per game. It's a big leap if you look at the stat sheet. But to think about it, he was the 4th best player on a team that made it to the Western Conference Finals. And now he is the best player, number 1 option, shooting 18 shots a game on the worst team in the NBA. I think it's pretty clear that he was going to take a jump statistically. And overall, that's kind of why I don't think he's going to win. He's made a great impact statistically, but overall his team's not winning, and I think we just kind of saw this coming. It's similar to Christian Wood. We knew they were a great player in a bad situation, and the fact that he changed situation and has improved is great. But Most Improved also has a little bit of an unexpected edge to it, A player like Julius Randle, who has been not very great in the league, who's now playing at all-star caliber level. It was unexpected, and he improved heavily from what he's been doing. Jerami statistically improved a lot, but overall his team's bad. He's a lot of these points are in garbage time. I can't put him too high on the award race for this. I'm going to have to give him, he's got probably at the 5th best odds at all these guys. The next guy up for me is Christian Wood, who his situation's a little different. He has been injured for the past 7 games, and it's looking like he's going to be out for a little bit longer than we first expected. But Christian Wood I think he was the clear frontrunner before he got hurt. And the fact that he's only played 16 games is worrying, but at the same time, pretty impressive for what he was able to do. First thing I want to bring up is his stats. Obviously, let's compare his 2 years. So, 2019, he averaged 13, 6, and 1, shooting 57% from the field, 39% from 3, and 74% from the line. Pretty decent stats for a player who was not really given the keys. He wasn't shooting a ton of shots per game, and he really still isn't shooting a ton of shots per game. But 2020 now, he's averaging 22, 10, and 1, so he's not really a playmaker. He's the guy you give the ball to score, but that's nonetheless, you don't really need to look at the assist totals, but shooting 55% from the field, 42% from 3, 70% from the line, and a steal a game, plus 2 blocks a game. He's up there for the season with most blocks per game. I think he's top 10 in the NBA right now. But Christian Wood was great before, and first thing I want to bring up is his team. His team has been underwhelming this year and dysfunctional. The James Harden situation brought him a lot of losses, and James Harden being on the team took a lot of shots away from Christian Wood. So, Harden left, and the Rockets actually got better from a winning perspective. But out of all the games that Christian Wood played this season, he's 8-9 with the Rockets. Respectable. Under 500, unfortunately, but I don't think that the Rockets are as good as we think they might be. They have a fantastic future, but without James Harden and in a very disheveled year where who really knows, like John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Christian Wood, they've got a lot of rookies they need to develop. I think Christian Wood's been doing a great job at helping his team win. They went on a win streak after Harden got traded, but you can tell how much his presence affected his team when he got injured. Since he got his biggest injury and has missed the past 7 games, the Rockets are 0-7. They've been pathetically bad. They've been losing against bad teams as well. These aren't, competitors. They didn't have a tough stretch of games. It was not good teams. They lost against Charlotte. You're probably looking at who they played right now, and it wasn't the most impressive list of teams. So, overall, I think Christian Wood should be in the discussion, but if he can't come back in a reasonable time period, he's not going to finish up top with the MIP award. And overall, I think that he is going to end up with, if saying he doesn't come back for another month or 2, especially if he can't come back before the All-Star break, which I don't think he will. He can't be too high on this list, which sucks because he was having an MIP year. All right, so the next guy I want to talk about is Julius Randle. He has been great this season. He has been incredibly good for the Knicks. His record with the Knicks is 14-16. He's 6th in the East. The East is horrible. It really is. But the fact that he is, he's in the playoffs, and they don't look like they're going to get kicked out anytime soon. This team has been playing really well. Julius Randle's mental improvement is the biggest factor for me. Statistically, Julius Randle didn't improve crazily. There was one stat that I'll bring up that is crazy, but last year he averaged 20 points per game, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 46% from the field. This is where it gets a little crazy. 28% from 3. That is well below league average. That is really, really poor shooting. That's bad. That's really bad to shoot 28% from 3. 73% from the free throw line. So, everywhere he was playing fine, but it was obvious that Julius Randle almost looked to be a problem for the Knicks. He was clogging the paint for another lefty on the team in R.J. Barrett. And overall, the Knicks were one of the worst teams in the league. Dysfunctional. Julius, his mental game was off. He has this thing where he just gets the ball and drives to the basket. this season, his improvement has been mostly mental. He's now averaging, in 2020, 23 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, which is a really good improvement from last year. That's double the amount of assists he had last year. He's shooting 48% from the field, which pretty much similar. This is crazy. 41% from 3. He is shooting well above the league average. 41% is elite. Julius is playing great and he's shooting well. And it's clear that Julius has improved in almost every aspect of his game. Plus, he's shooting 80% from the line on 17 shots a game. The really only factor for me that puts him down a couple notches is he is averaging the second most minutes per game in the NBA at like 36.7 or something, which is a lot of minutes. But to look at like a top 10, top 15 list of minutes played per game really only varies by, 0.5 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes. It isn't a significant portion of other players. Like Jeremy Grant, like I mentioned, he's top 10 in minutes played per game. I know that Zach LaVine is pretty high there too, and so was Christian Wood. He was averaging like 33, 34. I think that Julius, his improvement has been mental. And if I look at him as a player and what he did last year to what he did this year and the way he's viewed now, it's improved more than anybody on this list. It really has. But is that a stat that the people voting for MIP are going to look at? Are they going to see, oh, Julius Randle? Yeah, his mental game has been really good. I do think that the system is a little flawed when it comes to voting, and I don't know if he's going to get as many votes as he should, especially just because he didn't improve that well statistically. He's only averaging 3 more points. Yes, the 3%, the 3-point percentage is crazy, and the assist is great as well. He's been an all-around guy. But are they going to vote that way? I don't know if they will. But if right now today I had to vote for the most improved player, it would be tough to go with anybody but Julius Randle at this point. His team's playing pretty well. He's been playing great. He's been playmaking, making right decisions, not clogging the paint too much, shooting incredibly well from 3, and overall, I think his improvement has been drastically different from what the statistics might show you. Next up is Zach LaVine, who has been incredibly good this year. And I do want to preface, I am a Bulls fan, so I'm trying to take as much bias as I can out of this, but it's hard. But I do think that I'm the guy to talk about Zach LaVine. I've watched every game he's played this year, every minute of it, and Zach has been an all-star, all-NBA player. I'd put him in the conversation with NBA All-Star starter. I do think he deserved to start over Bradley Beal. I know they wouldn't have done that just because Beal got snubbed last year, but LaVine has been incredibly good. The Chicago Bulls are 13-16. They are in contention for 8th and into the playoff race in the East, which isn't a ton, but to compare it to the other guys I've said so far, it is impressive because the Chicago Bulls aren't an incredibly good team, and they're missing most of their offensive weapons. Lauri Markkanen has been hurt. Otto Porter Jr. has been hurt. Wendell Carter has been hurt. It's been pretty rough for the Bulls when you look at the injuries. The only other guy consistently that's been playing and scoring has been Kobe White, and Thaddeus Young has been great for Zach's play. He's opening up the floor and being a great leader for the Chicago Bulls team. But with all that is said, Zach LaVine has improved in every statistical category. He has career highs in every major category that you can look at. I mean, last year, 26, 5, and 4, 2 steals a game, shooting 45% from the field, 38% from 3, 80% from the line. Fortunately, he was averaging 4 turnovers last year, and he's averaging 4 turnovers this year. But with that aside, he's averaging 29 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 86% from the line. He's been incredible. He is 4% away from being 50-40-90. The guy's been crazy. He's shooting 20 shots a game. But to put this into perspective, Zach LaVine is shooting 6 free throws a game and is routinely scoring 30 to 40 points. He's averaging 29. He's been electric. He's averaging the most points for the Chicago Bulls since Michael Jordan. He has been the best scorer the Bulls have had in a long, long time. And I think it's time he gets some credit. And it's tough to say that he should win Most Improved Player because he's already been pretty good in the past. He is averaging 26 points last year. But Zach's assist totals are up. I know he had 4 last year and 5 this year, but 5 assists is an understatement for what Zach's been able to do. When he does, every once in a while he'll have a game where his shot isn't falling. When that isn't happening, Zach playmakes. He'll sit back and he'll let his teammates cut it up and he'll make sure that they get the ball. And in those games where his shot isn't falling, you can tell his assist numbers are up. And usually Zach's shot is falling, so he doesn't need to playmake for other guys. Zach has been incredible this season. Another thing I want to talk about is his defense. For an example of what Zach's done this season, he's been demanding to guard the best player for the other team. Against the Pistons, he demanded, after I think the third quarter, to guard Jeremy Grant, who was their best player, and I mentioned him earlier on this list, is a candidate for Most Improved Player. This last game for the Bulls, they played the Sacramento Kings, and after halftime, Zach switched on to De'Aaron Fox and didn't leave him. He guarded him the rest of the game. It wasn't the closest game, but it did get pretty close there at the end. I think it was a 2-point game at one point in the fourth quarter. De'Aaron Fox, since Zach LaVine started guarding him, the best player on the Kings, in my opinion, shot 3 for 10, had 5 free throws, and scored 11 points. Statistically, he did a great job guarding De'Aaron. I thought De'Aaron did have, he got to the line a decent amount, 5 free throws in the half. It's a decent amount, and I think Zach could have done a better job of not giving him enough space to get into the lane. But De'Aaron is a fantastic offensive player, and Zach showed up and played great defense. His contests were great. He was hustling to get over screens. I've been impressed with Zach's defense all year. That is just one instance of what he's been doing. But I've been super happy with Zach LaVine. I 100% believe he's a top 3 shooting guard in the East. And overall, I'm excited to see where he can go from here. I think there's nothing but the sky left for Zach LaVine to reach. I can 100% see him averaging this for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. He's that good. And I think he's still one of the most underrated players. And the fact that he's leading every single statistical category for himself, he's averaging a career high in everything. I've got to give my vote to Zach LaVine and Julius Randle. It's so tough. It's so tough because I think Randle has been incredibly good this season, and I think he's just improved a lot. And overall, I think Randle has improved more than LaVine. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want to compare these players together, but I think Randle has improved more than LaVine has improved. And LaVine's improved a ton. I'm not trying to take that away from him. Obviously, he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. He's up there. He's a top 3. He's on my favorite team. He's the best player on my favorite team. But what Randle's accomplished this season, he's changed people's perception of him, and he's been an incredibly efficient player, which is not a word you used to hear with Julius Randle. Is incredible, and I think that he probably deserves the award. There is one more guy that I want to briefly mention. Jaylen Brown, great player. He's a great player, and the fact that I'm briefly mentioning him, I just don't want to make this video too long, to be honest. I think he deserves a little bit of credit and a little bit of praise for the improvement he's had. He's averaging 26, 6, and 4 compared to 26 and 2 last year. He's still averaging a steal per game. This year he's shooting 50% from the field, 42% from 3, and 78% from the line. He's up there with Zach LaVine in efficiency. He's taking 19 shots a game. Everything about Jaylen Brown's game has improved, I'd say, except, his rebounding, but it's not something you really need to improve at the shooting guard position. I really like Jaylen Brown's game. His defense, that's one thing. His defense hasn't necessarily improved a ton. He's a great defender. He's an incredible defender. But it hasn't improved as much as I'd like for, a most improved player award. But Jalen's been great. And, Jason Tatum missed a decent amount of games. Jalen came in and played incredibly well. I know they didn't win a ton, but even when Jason Tatum has off nights, Jaylen Brown's always there. I think Jaylen Brown is a very consistent player. There's a reason he's averaging 26 points per game as the second best player on his team. And overall, I've been just blown away with what he's been able to do over these past couple of years. He got mocked for that contract that the Celtics gave him. People thought it was way too much, and he's an all-star now. And I think it's deservedly so. He deserves some praise. And if he keeps it up and maybe Randall or Levine slows down a little bit, Jaylen Brown's up there in this discussion. I don't think that he is past Christian Wood's ability to improve the season. I'd give Jaylen Brown 5 or 4. But if he keeps it up and these other guys slow down, don't count him out of this race. I think that Jaylen Brown has a good shot to win it this year as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, took a ton of time to make, please just like and subscribe, comment your opinion. I'd love to hear maybe a dark horse candidate you think you can think of, or if you have a problem with one of the candidates I mentioned. So thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time. Peace.